babe. I just don't understand. What's the problem? I just don't understand why we gotta go through the same shit every day. Damn, like this some bullshit.
You be on that bullshit. You on that 718, can't get a
the licking. He really wanna fuck me cause he know that really different. That pussy but I purr like a little kitten. He begging, asking me to let him stick the tipping.
Now who's hot, who's not? Tell me who rock, who sell out in the stores. Mace was spitting that shit when he dropped those lines on B.I.G. song More Money, More Problems. That was a theme song of my life after wrapping up the reality show and dealing with Demi and her punk ass friend for running off on my fucking money. Sorry, Orion. It's so fucking irritating. In case you forgot, I made the very amateur mistake of allowing a couple of bitches that I thought I could trust to stay in my apartment while I lived through the hell you call entertainment, reality TV. Those dusty bitches were stealing my shit and pocketing the rent money. Those dusty bitches were stealing my shit and pocketing the rent money I was sending every month instead of paying the bills. Broke ass bitches were stealing from me and still couldn't afford to boss their lives up for real. On top of that, Demi's little friend stole my brand new bottle of Issey Miyake, the sweetest perfume you'll ever smell, guaranteed to make a nigga dick jump. I was hot, but it was what it was because I knew I would get mine every time I saw her out. Honestly, my life was sort of in shambles after all of that, not just because of the Demi situation. It was a number of things combined. Shit will always look good from the outside looking in because I'm not the type to let anyone see that I'm struggling. But things were bad, really bad. After the show, I was mentally in the worst place I'd ever been in my entire life. Ironically enough, I was making more money than I had ever made in my entire life too. But more money, more problems, right? See, as entertaining as the show must have been for the viewers, it was equally as draining for me. Don't get me wrong, it was an incredible opportunity overall because like I told you before, the show changed my whole life, but I could have very easily done without being villainized. On the other hand, my online store was popping, I was always booked, my DMs were going up even more than before, and it was looking like I would never have to dance again thanks to the platform that the show had given me. All of the good that came from my time on the show came at a price. Unfortunately, it was a price that held no monetary value. It cost me my mental health. You know by now that I've always found pride in being able to stay true to who I am no matter what I've been through. So at the price of compromising my character, the show put me in a position to win, but the fact still remains that it was very fucking ghetto. The truth is that I had no clue that my character and my mental health would be the price I had to pay. I mean, let's really look at the facts. I had never done TV before, so it was fair for me to assume that I would go on the show and just be myself. There's no way in hell for me to even guess that the producers would pin me as the bad guy. Like I told you before, I genuinely believed it was going to be a walk in the park and I was going to be the main attraction. Well, I was right about the part where I was the main attraction, but that doesn't negate the fact that I was unhappy with how things played out. We've already talked about this, but it still follows me around to this day. When I saw the show compromise my character, when I say the show compromised my character, it did so by painting me out to be a bully. They only labeled me that way because producers convinced me to pick on some skinny, strung-out looking bitch because the show was getting boring. That was my bad for falling into that, though. I've never been the type to pick on the little guy. If anything, I was the little guy growing up. The only difference between me and the skinny bitch was that I won't play victim. I'll always get my lick back. I'm a firm believer that you can only be bullied if you let a motherfucker bully you. Simple. It's neither here nor there because once the internet decides they know you based off of a few photos or a few scenes from a show, it's almost impossible to convince them otherwise. Let me set the record straight for the last time. What people watched on the show was a direct reflection of what the producers wanted them to see. They created narratives for every girl in that house and then did hella sneaky shit behind the scenes in order to bring those narratives to life. Our hell was your entertainment. I'm not going to front like I didn't fall into the trap, but everything I did was in a response to something done to me. The gag was that most times you were only ever to see my reaction, not what I was reacting to. Could I have handled a few situations better? I'm a real ass bitch, so I don't have a problem answering that question honestly. Yes, but the producers had us all on some bullshit, not just me. Anyway, after dealing with the whole Demi situation, you'd think I would have learned my lesson, but I didn't, and I ended up having a friend of mine move in with me. You already know what type of living situations I've been through in the past, from crashing at my aunt's house, being banned from Lily's house, and sleeping on a couch in a meth house basement, all of which were worse than some dumb bitch and her homegirl stealing from me. So I just feel like you should understand why I continue to make the same mistake over and over again. My heart is big and my love is pure. Period. Besides all of that, Destiny was one of my best friends at the time, and us living together was a no-brainer, especially since I was still going through the emotions of my breakup with Xavier. When I think back on it all, I never really had time to properly grieve or heal from the breakup because I basically went right into the show, and then after that, I went home to the demi-drama. It wasn't until all the smoke cleared that I realized how deep into depression I had fallen. I was left to face my emotions, and I'm sure it would have been best for me to do that alone, but that's not how life worked out. Xavier was still messaging me on a regular basis, which is right on brand because niggas always tries to spin the block. It probably would have been fine if he wasn't in a whole ass public relationship with a girl honey that he was cheating on me right before the show. It broke my heart to read messages from him while he paraded around another bitch because it was like I was watching the love of my life do things he had never done for me. A bitch he barely knew, and it sent me even deeper into my depression. It was a hard pill to swallow because it didn't make sense to me how he could do that to me. Why would you continue to message your ex-girlfriend when you already have a new bitch? Men are so damn embarrassing. Between the backlash I was getting from the show and the love of my life playing mind games with me, I just wanted to disappear at that point in time. At that point in time, I was somewhere between living my best life and not wanting to do life at all. I was lost, heartbroken, misunderstood by a majority of people who knew me, and no matter how many people surrounded me, I just felt painfully alone. As I struggled through my depression, I continued to run my store, Frost, write songs, and plot on how I'd make my next move my best move. While I was dealing with all of that shit, I would still find time to go outside and have fun. I'm using the term fun very loosely because honestly, it only felt fun in the moment. I would go out just to keep my mind off of the things that I was struggling with internally, but when the night ended, it never made me feel any better. One of those fun nights, while I was at the club, I met a football player and we clicked instantly. There wasn't anything spectacular about the way that we met or how our first date went because it was simple. We met and he took me out to dinner shortly after that. Like every other relationship I've been in, things started to move very quickly after our first date. You'd think a football player that stood about 6 feet 7 inches and weighed close to 300 pounds would be a fuckboy, but Eric was far from that. Instead, he was the sweetest, most patient man ever, a whole teddy bear. I'm a player first, but a sap directly after, so I really enjoyed having Eric's country bumpkin ass in my life. He was just what I needed at the time, someone who valued and understood me. Well, I mean, I probably needed therapy more than anything, but having a man that spoiled me was doing a damn good job at pulling me out of my depression. Regardless of how much I liked Eric, I knew better than to fall too deep because whether he was a teddy bear or not, I knew then, like I know now, that a man is always going to be a man. I had experienced enough heartbreak to know that no matter how good a man treated me, he had the potential to hurt me worse if I allowed him to, and I didn't have the mental capacity to play that bullshit ass game with Eric. I wasn't willing to run the risk of yet another heartbreak. And not so lucky for me, I had so much shit going on mentally and emotionally that initially it was fairly easy for me to keep him at a distance. I had convinced both my mind and my heart that we were there for a good time, not a long time. Eric began to spoil me very early into our relationship. And even though I was making my own money and could afford to buy whatever I wanted, I liked spending his money instead because why the fuck wouldn't I? We ate at restaurants that I had never eaten at before, and we slept in hotels and visited spas that I could only dream to be real. Eric opened my mind up to new feelings and experiences. Beyond all of the material things, he gave me the affection that I needed in a time where I was so defeated by what felt like the entire world. That shit just felt good across the board, and somehow, out of nowhere, I fucked around and caught real feelings for him. It didn't dawn on me until he asked me to move in with him. That within just 3 months of meeting each other, dating, and becoming best friends, I had done more than just catch feelings. I was damn near in love. Sorry, y'all. I know I sound crazy. I'm reading right now. Sorry. Oh, I kind of want to turn the comments on, but I don't want to get discouraged. I'll turn the comments on soon, y'all. Sorry. Besides the fact that it was a beautiful house in Calabasas, I was spending a majority of my time with him anyway, so living together made sense. So much for being there for a good time and not a long time, because once I moved in, there wasn't anything you could tell me to convince me that I would leave him or that he would ever leave me. Now, that doesn't mean that I abandoned my apartment because I knew the fuck better. Listen, if you don't learn anything else from me, I genuinely want you to learn this. Always have your own. I can't stress this enough. It doesn't matter how much money these men have, how many gifts they buy you, or how much they love you. It's imperative that you build your own fortune and maintain your own stability and individuality outside of that relationship, because nobody can ever send you back to the streets if you own the block. And yes, ownership is important, but if you're not in a position to do that just yet, be sure to always put something away so that you always land on your feet if and when a man starts to act up. With that being said, moving in with Eric was an easy decision because I was comfortable financially and knew that he could only elevate my life. After coming out of my relationship with Xavier, watching him move on to a new relationship, and feeling like my character had been stripped down because of the show, being with Eric made me feel like I was enough. His attentiveness and the way he was so enamored with me boosted my confidence, and even though no one could tell from looking on the inside, I really needed that. And I can't front. Even though Destiny was living with me, I still felt alone in some sense, so the idea of moving in with Eric sort of alleviated that feeling of loneliness. Back then, I was struggling to find my way out of a very dark place emotionally, and I knew that filling those voids or hiding my pain by completely avoiding it wasn't the proper way to handle things, but that's what worked for me at the time. Today I know and understand the importance of unpacking the pain so that I can heal properly. I've given my therapist a whole lot of money to help me understand that, so I have no problem keeping it real with you whenever I speak on a situation. Let me see. Let me turn on the comments if I should keep going, because honestly, my mouth hurts so bad, y'all. Sorry. My mouth hurts. The comments were off, guys. I wasn't reading the comments. This is just the very beginning of the first chapter. But my teeth hurt really bad. Honestly, what page is this? This is page 7. Keep going. Should I keep going? How many more pages do I have? Let me just see how many pages I have. I'm gonna try. My mouth really does hurt, but I'm gonna just try. Anyways. Okay. Whatever, I'm gonna just keep reading. And I have the comments on. Hopefully I don't get distracted. It seems like as soon as I moved into Eric's house, he multiplied the way he spoiled me 10 times. I'm talking about waking up to stacks of money on the bed, dozens and dozens of roses every week, all types of shit. My friends were... Yeah, this is distracting me. Sorry, y'all. I can't look at this. Hold on. Sorry, I have to turn off the commenting. I can't see it. You guys can probably see it. My friends were always at the house with me too. So he would give me money so that we could all go shopping and have spa days. We would go to expensive ass restaurants for lunch and even go to the strip club to cash bitches out. And we did all of that on Eric's dime. When my girls weren't there, he and I would just be laid up enjoying each other's company. Occasionally, he would go out of town on business trips or down south to spend time with his daughter, and I would just be at home taking bubble baths and walking around the house in a plush-ass robe, enjoying the fruits of my labor as a girlfriend. Being a girlfriend was damn near my job at the time, and being spoiled was my compensation. Of course, Frost was bringing in a steady cash flow, but I was able to save all of my profits because Eric was taking care of me so well. I'm not sure if I was falling in love with Eric or the lifestyle he provided for me, but either way, it was all short-lived. About 3 months into my live-in girlfriend position, Eric was out of town on business again, and I was doing what spoiled girlfriends do, taking a bubble bath. I was looking like Ravina Run, if you will, while minding everybody else's business on social media, casually scrolling through the comments of one of the most popular entertainment blogs. Somehow, I made my way to Eric's comments and thought that I would be scrolling through just to see what thirsty bitches that could never have him have to say, only to scroll across a comment that implied he was cheating on me. It was a simple comment that said, "Can't wait to see you again," with a pink heart emoji and some heart eyes. My heart skipped a beat and my cheeks got warm. I leaned over the bathtub so that my phone was no longer hovering over the water in order to eliminate the risk of dropping it in the middle of my important investigation. My first thought to myself was, see, you should have listened. I was angry. I was angry with Eric for being like every other man, but I was angry with myself for opening my heart up to yet another disappointing man. There were so many pieces of me that I had shared with him over the months that we had been together. There were so many layers of my protection that I had taken down for him just for him to betray me. I knew better. I knew better than to open up to that man about what I had gone through. I also knew better than to allow myself to care about him because I knew that it wouldn't last long. Unfortunately, knowing better didn't always mean I did better. Some part of me wanted to believe that the comment I was reading was cap. I wanted to believe that maybe I had misunderstood the context of the message because Eric was different from the rest, and he wouldn't do me like that. It didn't matter that in the past he had shown me photos and told me names of every woman that used to mean something to him because I was reaching for the slight possibility that maybe he had accidentally left this one out. I knew the truth, though. I felt it in my stomach, us women always do. As I leaned over the side of the bathtub with my phone in my hands, I took a deep breath and began to scroll through the woman's page. It didn't take long for me to scroll across a photo of her in his bathroom, the same one I was taking a bath in. The photo was posted 6 months prior to the date, but her comment was posted only 2 weeks prior to the day I saw it. I laughed sarcastically as I shook my head in disbelief. This has to be a fucking joke, I said out loud, swallowing down the lump in my throat. I've never been one to put my hands on a man, and I definitely wasn't going to start with Eric. That's a lie. Especially after I had damn near died at the hands of Cinco after he beat me and left me for dead. But I remember wishing that I could be Eric's ass. He knew how much betrayal and heartbreak I had experienced, and then he turned around and did the same bullshit. I couldn't believe I allowed myself to catch feelings for him, but I wasn't about to sit in the bathtub and sulk in my sorrows. I took a moment to shed a few tears and stomach the pain of betrayal before I drained the water and gathered my thoughts. Almost instantly, I went from sad and hurt to remembering that play is fuck up too. And the moment that I was able to remind myself who the fuck I was able to remove any cap-ass emotions I thought I felt so I could get my lick back. Eric really tried me by cheating in the first place, but he let me find out on the internet, and that's where he had me fucked up. There was no way in hell I was going to wait for Eric to get back from his business trip before I decided to let him know that he had made a huge mistake. My phone barely rung before he answered. "Hey, babe," Eric said. "Don't fucking hey, babe me. You got me fucked up." This is a lot of cussing, so I'm going to try to censor it. "Why the F is some B in your comments talking about she can't wait to see you? Do you know who I am? You're a fuckboy just like the rest," I yelled into the phone. "Babe, no," Eric took a deep breath. "Babe, that's not what you think it is, okay? Look, we'll talk when I get home. I'll book the first flight back. I promise. I didn't let him finish. "Keep your sorry ass promises. I don't care when you come back. I won't be here. I'm done. You're weak as fuck for this," I said, trying to fight back tears. To be honest, I'm not even sure if I was really heartbroken or angry as I was coming off to be. Did I like Eric? Yes. Besides cheating, he was really good to me. I'm not going to act like being a professional girlfriend, being spoiled, spoiling my friends, and saving hella money for a few months wasn't lit as fuck, because it was. I think more than anything, it was the betrayal and the complete disregard of my past that really fucked me up. What Eric had done to me wasn't any worse than somebody from my past has done. So in some disgusting way, I was used to it, maybe even immune to it. I will say that it birthed something new inside of me, though. It activated a new level of savageness within me. After hanging up with Eric, I threw on some sweats, had a glass of wine, and decided to go back home. For whatever reason, when I left, I didn't take any of my stuff with me, but I left my copy of the house key in the middle of the bed so that I could be sure Eric would see it when he got home. I wanted him to know that I was dead serious about leaving him. By the time I made it to my apartment, I had about 20 text messages from Eric, and they were all him apologizing like the sorry-ass nigga that he was. That wasn't enough for me, though. I wanted Eric to feel my wrath. I wanted him to know that just because I had experienced so much heartache behind men, it didn't mean that I needed one. Getting spoiled is all fun and games until it doesn't include respect. I don't give a fuck who you are, who you play for, who you're signed to, how much money you have, or any of that other shit. If you disrespect me, it's up. Eric disrespected me, so you know I had to step. The next morning, Eric left 4 voicemails and 7 more text messages. The first message said, "Kay, call me back." He sounded defeated. His voice was low and raspy. The second message said, "Babe, I booked you a flight. I'm sorry, call me back." He was still defeated, but there was a little more determination in his voice. Hearing the second message pissed me off so much that I didn't even bother listening to the other 2. The night before, he told me that he was going to book the first flight available so that he could come home and we could talk. But instead, he leaves a voicemail telling me that he booked a flight for me. He must have been out his fucking mind if he really thought that I was going to hop on a flight to go see his cheating ass. It pissed me off even more just thinking about the audacity it took for him to go from "I'll come home" to "you're coming here." He didn't even ask me if I wanted to drop what I was doing and hop on a flight. Granted, I could have gone if I wanted to, but I don't jump just because a man says so. His text messages were screenshots of the flight itinerary and more apologies. Quite frankly, I didn't want any of it, and I definitely wasn't in the mood to entertain it. He deserved to be in the dark about how I felt, the same way he left me in the dark about whatever the fuck him and that hoe had going on. I literally went on with the rest of my day as if I had never read or listened to any of Eric's messages. I treated myself to a massage, a beautiful solo lunch date on a rooftop, and then handled a few things that needed to be done for Frost. One thing about it, a man will never stop my hustle or prevent me from spoiling my damn self. If anything, every time a man fucks up, I make more money and get even finer. After a full day of ignoring Eric, spending money, and handling business, 4 of my homegirls pulled up on Destiny and I at my place so that I could get them caught up on everything that had transpired. After a few drinks, I decided that I wanted to go to Eric's house to pick up all of my shit before he got back in town. I had hella clothes and all types of other shit at his house, and since I was done with him, I wanted all of it. It didn't matter to me that he paid for everything that belonged to me in his house, because once you give me a gift, it's mine. What was he gonna do with it? Give it to the next bitch? Please, please play Ring the Alarm by Beyonce. Between the liquor and all of the shit me and my homegirls had talked about, I decided that not only I was gonna go pick up my shit, I was gonna make Eric pay for the inconvenience that he had caused me. The little social media bitch wasn't even cuter than me. She clearly didn't have more money than me, and I was willing to bet $100 bands that she didn't have any type of substance. She was just another groupie that was excited to be seen by a man of Eric's caliber. Unfortunately, Eric was just another man excited to be seen by yet another groupie. They were both idiots, and they both deserved to have their asses beat. I know you're probably thinking like, "This crazy bitch," and you're right. The thing is that I didn't care then, and I don't care right now. I stand 10 toes in every decision I make in life. It'll either make me some money or create some damn good memories, and either way, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do every time. Anyway, my girls and I all hopped in the car and drove straight to Eric's house. There wasn't much of a plan of what we would do when we got there, other than I wanted all of my stuff, and somehow he needed to pay for what he had done. When we finally made it to his house, we low-key had to break in, because remember, I had left my key on the bed when I initially left the house, and the front door locked on its own. Breaking in wasn't even the challenge, though, because I just crawled through the doggy door and then deactivated the alarm system. Mind you, we had been drinking, so we were all laughing hysterically at the fact that my ass was on all fours crawling through a doggy door. We were loud and obnoxious, as if we weren't running the risk of being caught and going to jail. Obviously, I know we weren't really going to get caught, but the first thing we did once I opened the door was run upstairs and pack all of my stuff. We put everything into a couple of Louis Vuitton duffel bags that were in Eric's closet and rushed the bags to my car as quickly as we could. Getting through the doggy door was a little longer than we expected, and I hadn't spoken to Eric all day, so there was no real way to know whether or not he would be pulling up while we were there, and the last thing I wanted to do was see him. From start to finish, it took us about 30 minutes to break in, grab my shit, and load the Audi. Once we were done, we all stood at my car looking at one another, and then we bursted into laughter. "Nah, I think we have more time," I said to my homegirls. Destiny stopped laughing and said, "Well, shit, I saw hella liquor in there, and you said he has to pay for the inconvenience, so let's just get it back in bottles." We all laughed again. We started to walk towards the house again and said, "Let's really piss him off." The girls yelled in excitement like we were some tiny little war soldiers. Keep in mind, I didn't have a real plan on what we would do to piss Eric off. We were just going to wing it. When we got back inside of the house, we headed straight for the kitchen and took all of his good liquor, food, and snacks, packed them into my car too. It became more fun after that because for whatever reason, I wasn't satisfied yet with what we had already done. I wanted to be even more petty. I wanted him to get home from his trip and feel like he didn't have control over the situation. I wanted him to feel as inconvenienced as he had made me feel, and I wanted to make sure that he felt my absence as many ways as possible. He needed to think about missing me every day. "Let's go get his shoes," I said. We all ran upstairs laughing like children. I don't even remember how I came up with this idea, but we started taking all the left shoes from his shoe closet and putting them into my car as well. I'm not gonna lie, as childish as it was, it felt good. I was starting to feel like it was starting to feel like some form of liberation, and I loved it. By the end of my revenge rampage, me and my girls had walked out of Eric's house with his left shoes, my clothes, food, liquor, remote controls, and anything else I could find that I knew would piss him off when he realized it was gone. We even emptied out his drawers and tried our best to rip his underwear up. We weren't strong enough, but we stretched him out enough to where he would definitely have to buy all new pairs. We had finally done all the damage we were going to do, and I realized that since there were so many of us and we piled so much stuff into my car, it wasn't enough room for all of us. That was when I decided that we also needed to take a few of his cars just to make sure that we got home safely. We took a Rolls Royce, a Porsche truck, and an Escalade back to my house. Of course, the logical thing to do would have been to put some of the stuff that didn't actually belong to me back into the house so that there would be enough room in my truck for each of us, but we weren't moving on logic. It was just immaturity and vibes. If you ain't never got your lick back by being petty and immature, you have not lived. Side note, shout out to my girls for being down ass bitches. Thinking back to that night always cracks me up because what type of shit was that? Why would I do that? Why didn't they think twice about helping me? We all need friends like them. Anyways, back to the story. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and we made sure that Eric was a champion. My girls and I spent the rest of the night celebrating his big win by drinking his liquor, eating his food, taking pictures in his cars, and hanging all of my clothes up. By the time we were done, we were able to find all of the social media handles of the little bitch that he had cheated on me with. In general, I know that you're supposed to be mad at your man for cheating on you and not the bitch he cheated with, but she knew we were in a relationship because he and I posted each other publicly. So since she made the decision to fuck with my man knowingly, I felt that she deserved a prize too. The plan was to keep tabs on her until she posted a location where I could pull up. Whenever a groupie bitch is out somewhere that is considered to be a hot spot, they can't wait to post about it. So I knew it wouldn't be long before she led me right to her. I'm going to stop there. So that was almost the full first chapter. I'm going to stop there because I'm actually 2 minutes late for this call. But you guys, the link is in my bio if you want to buy my book. And that is like literally just the beginning of the first chapter. This book is so interesting. If you read the first book, you're going to love this book. And, thank you guys for hanging in there with me right now. It's really hard for me to talk. I'm in a lot of pain. But yeah, if you guys have not got my book, please go get it. It honestly would mean so much to me. I put so much work into this book, and Instagram has been like hiding all of my like posts for, promoting it. And it's just like kind of, what is the word? It's kind of discouraging because this book has taken me a year to write and put out, and I feel like I can't even promote my book how I want to. So the link is in my bio. So yeah, please go ahead and grab it. And if you haven't got the first book, get the first book as well. The first book is available on Amazon and also on my site, but you can also get both at the same time if you want to. It's completely up to you guys. But anyways, thank you guys for listening, and DM me and let me know what you thought about the first part of the chapter that I read. It would mean so much to me to get your feedback. Thank you.